Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor.org podcast. I'm your host, Colin Connors. My wonderful co-host, Dennis Patrick, is currently lost at sea, but I have with me my favorite survivor of all time. Yes, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I do. I have with me the one, the only, the amazing, the super awesome, Mr. Yau Man. Yau Man, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So, Yau Man, how have you been?
Oh, pretty good.
What have you been up to?
Working. Since I didn't win the million, I guess I have to keep working.
So, what job are you currently at?
Well, I work for the University of California at Berkeley. I am the sort of head geek for the College of Chemistry. I run their networks and computing services.
Sounds very complicated and high-tech.
Well, I couldn't get my earphone working just now, you know.
How did you get on the show Survivor?
Well, I got an email from somebody saying, hey, you know, they're looking for somebody for Survivor. Have you heard of that show? And I said, oh, sure, I have heard of it. I'm not a big TV person, but I did watch the first season because it was made in Borneo, and I grew up in Borneo. So here's my application.
How do you think Borneo was portrayed in the first season? Do you think it was portrayed accurately?
Yeah, there was, you know, pretty much they were looking for the the horrible tropical weather where it rains and it pours and makes everybody miserable and you know, the jungle, and so yeah, they did.
What was your strategy going into the game?
Going into the game, I didn't realize that it's a social game. I thought, hey, the way to win this thing is, you know, you try and beat everybody in the challenges and win every immunity and go all the way to the end, right? But it turned out that that's really not what it is all about. It's really a social game, and so people who have won this were good social players. So I went in not knowing that. I went in thinking that, you know, if I can have, you know, put my thinking cap on and try and win challenges, I get to go far.
Did you actually ever think you would get as far as you did?
No, I did not. I was very surprised that I went that far in the first season.
What did you think about the twist of the have and the have-not tribes?
Oh, that was horrible. I mean, especially the fact that I ended up in the have-not side. I may think differently if I ended up on the have tribe. But on the other hand, it was advantageous to me to be on the have-not side because my, you know, sort of Boy Scout, you know, camping skill and having grown up in Borneo and knowing how to deal with the, you know, the climate over there, the rain and so on, I was able to be useful and to be able to be the provider for the tribe that, you know, initially they kept me on even though I'm the old, weak guy. You know, there's no reason for them to keep me on, right? If I have been on the have tribe, as soon as we lose, they probably would, you know, say there's no need for him being around here, right?
Understandable. And in fact, that was one of my questions is, I just rewatched most of the season today and yesterday. Why did they keep you over all the really strong, fit girls? But you just gave a really good answer to that.
Yeah, see, and you notice I was always cutting up coconuts, you know, getting the water for them, keeping the fire going. So I was just being their slave, basically, and saying, as long as I'm useful. And the other thing that is critical is that when there's a challenge and we lose, as long as I'm not the guy that caused them to lose, right, then they would not want to get rid of me.
Would you say that's a tip in Survivor, is to never be the person on the last leg of a challenge?
Yes, you want to be you want to be low-key, right? You don't want to be the leader in that. You don't want it should not be perceived as your idea, how the strategy, how you end up doing the challenge, at least when it's a tribal situation, when you're deciding how to run the challenge, you don't want to be the guy who get the blame, right? Oh, it's his strategy. He said to do it this way, right? So when we're in the tribes, yeah, I stay very low key. I hang back, and you know, yeah, when we lose, I wasn't the guy who came up with this strategy, so don't blame me for it. But as soon as it's an individual challenge, then yeah, you go for it.
Well, I was actually going to say, I was surprised at how little confessionals you had in like the first 6 episodes when you made it all the way to the end. Yeah, so when it was in tribes before we were going before the tribe merged, you know, I was just staying low and trying my best to keep out of the way, keep out of trouble, and that worked because you know as soon as we merge, I think I'm okay. I'm running the challenge for myself. So. Were there any early alliances and friendships that we didn't get to see?
No, there wasn't, because that was the season where everybody was new, right? And so and they were very strict while we were getting ready to get on the island, when we were, what do you call that, doing all the photo shoots and the publicity time. We were not allowed to talk to each other.
So were there any friendships with other players that you developed throughout the game that we didn't get to see?
No, I was pretty much hanging out with Earl and Michelle all that time, and not very many other people. And unfortunately, Michelle got bumped very early, right?
By a stupid twist.
That was horrible. And because I'm not a social person, I mean, I don't go around, talking to a lot of people, and that's my downfall, because in the many weeks together, I didn't know the background of people like Dreams and so on. So,
if you would have known more about Dreams, would you have made that deal with him?
No, not at all. I mean, if I had known that, this is a kid who grew up in, in a very harsh environment, who went dumpster diving for lunch with his brothers. I mean, people like that I would not have trusted, because his concern is the immediate future, and not, would not think further than, what's the next meal coming from. And that's, I didn't know that. I have no idea. And that's why I say it's a social game, in that to get far, you need to get to know these people, go into their heads, figure out, what their life is like, and go from there.
On the first or second night, Rocky and Dreams got into a little bit of an arguing match. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I was cheering them on, keep arguing. That's good reason. At least I know the first boot would not be me, right? I mean, they actually, what you saw was a few minutes of it, but they went at it for hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, that argument went on and on. And I don't even remember what triggered it. It was something really trivial. I mean, it was nothing worth arguing about. But both were very, strong-headed personalities, that they were not, neither of them were going to back down at all. And it went on and on.
Ooh. So was Rocky really good to have on your tribe early in the game, because all the focus was always on him going crazy?
Yeah, and the reason he's crazy, he went crazy, is because he was a chain smoker. And there was no, yes. So there was no cigarette on the island, and so he went cold turkey, and so he was just like jittery. He was like nicotine withdrawal. He was like obnoxious, like, hair triggered temper. I mean, he was just trying to bum cigarettes off the camera with the producers. I mean, it was so, that was why he was like that. I mean, he was just a nervous wreck. I mean, the guy. So when I figured that out only at the finale. I didn't know that, right, until at the finale. We pull up at the hotel, we just landed, and there was in the curb of the hotel, smoking nonstop. Right? We were inside the lobby hugging and so on, and he would barely come in, and every few minutes he'd keep going back out, and he was just nonstop smoking. And I go, now I know why he was a nervous wreck and not just having nicotine withdrawal at that time.
When the tribes were divided, when Sylvia divided them, were there any people who you really wanted to be on your tribe, and was there anyone on your tribe that you didn't want to have on?
No, I did not, because I didn't know any of these people, right? When we were hanging out the few days before we were thrown on the island, not only were we not allowed to talk to each other, we couldn't even look at each other for more than a minute before we got yelled at. So we had no idea who the other people are.
So even after that first day on the island, before Sylvia divided you up, you still didn't think you had that good of a grasp on people?
No, I mean, yeah, right. And that, again, goes back to my not being a very social person, right? I was going, as soon as we got on the island, my concern was, don't put me out, right? I'm going to be working my butt off. I mean, I was doing all stuff, so I didn't get to hang out and socialize with them.
How scared were you at that first tribal council?
I was very worried. I really was. It's like I'm on that tribe. I'm pretty much the oldest guy there, right? I think the good thing was that when we first landed on the island, and I was able to crack open the box that nobody could crack open, I think I got a little bit of credibility there that maybe I'm somewhat useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because on that chariot challenge, right, the chariot race, that was horrible. It was like 105 degrees out there that, we're pulling that chariot and so on. It was horrible. And of course, I'm physically not going to be anywhere close to the strength of these other guys. And when all the other guys were like twice my weight and half my age, there's no reason for them to keep me in. And I think because of the impression I made at the very beginning of the box, and then later on, I was boiling water for them. I was just doing everything, for them. So they were sort of noticing that, and I think that helped.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a really, really good under-the-radar strategy that should be applied by other older people in the game, because it's kept the target off your back for 5-6 rounds, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, at least the other thing about older people with the younger people is that as an older guy, you have gone through life and you have seen some of the silly mistakes that you made, you remember made, and so when you have this urge to tell the young guys off, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of older players make the mistake, right? They want to just, speak their mind and so on. But young people don't want to hear that. Right?
We don't.
Yeah, right. You keep your mouth shut and swallow your pride and just, stay cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Was Sylvia's nitpicking, was that accurately portrayed?
Yes and no. Yes, she is sort of nitpicking, but on the other hand, she was unable to communicate very well, right? Mm. So, for example, when she was telling people, she was an architect after all, right? So as soon as everybody found out that she's an architect, sure, you're the architect. How do we build this thing, right? And then, so the worst part of course, that is now you put on this architect's hat, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in real life, if you're the architect, you actually get to tell people what to do when you come to building the house. Mm-hmm. And you better listen to the architect, otherwise the house is going to fall down, right? Mm-hmm. But this is not real life, right? You're on the island building a stupid shack or shelter. Don't tell people what to do, right? Even though we all say, oh, you're the architect. You'll let you design it. But, you should play it a little bit cool. But she put on the architect's hat and she started telling everybody and acted like an architect. So that did not help her. Mm-hmm.
Well, it seemed to me that after that first day of her telling people what to do, that she was going to be gone. And I was just amazed she wasn't the first one gone when she came back into the game.
Yeah, that was a strange one because we were missing somebody and there was only 19 people. They have to do it that way.
20th girl, did she ever even show up? Like, how far did she make it?
No, she was there. She was there until the night before we were launched off the island.
Oh, wow.
Right. So the way it worked on that season is that they woke us up at 2 o'clock in the morning and told us, get your stuff ready, we're going, right? Mm-hmm. So, which is another 4-hour drive before we get to the airport, a little airport with a little tiny plane, puddle jumpers. Yeah. So she was there and the night before, because she was in a tent next to me. We all have our own little tents. Mm-hmm. She was in a tent next to me, and I remember the night before there were a lot of grumbling, mumbling, and I thought she got sick. I thought somebody got sick. So I didn't hear what's going on, but there were a lot of talking, and there were a lot of, activity going on in the tent next door. And I didn't even know what's going on until when we got to where we're going and we were going to be launched onto those boats, right? We got on the canoe, and so we got on 2 canoes. Not canoes, but the outriggers.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed somebody's missing because on one was 10 people, on the other was 9 people.
And you're like, wait.
And I go, wait a minute. I thought there were 20 of us here. That's when I figured out somebody's missing.
When did you and Earl officially make that strong alliance? Because as a viewer, it just seemed like you two had a little bit of a bond, and the next thing you know, you're in an alliance.
Right.
Can you fill in some of that?
Yeah, that sort of upset the producers because they never have any footage of us talking about it. And in fact, they got so upset, at one of the challenges, before the challenges when we get to meet with Probst and all the producers to tell us what's going on. One of the producers came, talked to the whole group and said, you guys cannot play behind the cameras, right? Because if you do, we don't have footage. the viewers don't know what's going on, right? We cannot tell them the story. I mean, they were very upset. So as soon as we got onto the island and I was doing my stuff, Earl just came to me and started talking to, and I look up this guy and I go, here's my physical alliance, right? I'm the weak guy. I'm the old guy. Here's, young, strong guy. In fact, I think at some point I repeated that at the challenge about me, hanging out with this big, strong black guy, and Jeff actually made fun of that, right? And I said, I need to hang on to somebody who I have faith will be physically strong, right? Just going to help me along. So that's when we made the alliance.
Oh, so it happened really early on.
Very early on, yeah. So, to the point that they didn't get anything on tape about it, and nobody asked me that in the initial confession, so I didn't even talk about it.
Well, I mean, I guess it's even better if the camera people don't know about it, because that's even more a secret. Because maybe a camera guy could, accidentally spill something. So.
Right. The other hand, yeah, the viewers didn't get, that there was no continuity. Suddenly they became a alliance pair, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it seemed a natural pairing, but I seem to recall that there was never that moment that you see on screen where you shake hands or you look at each other in the eye. We never got to see that. When the tribes were being picked, why did you pick Stacy over Lisi?
I don't know. I was looking at those two, and Stacy seems a little bit more stable character by then. I mean, Lisi talks nonstop. And I have a little bit trouble with that, and so I'll go with Stacy.
I want to talk a little bit about the hidden immunity idol and you making a fake one. How long did you actually look for it?
I actually looked for it for a long time. So, for example, I got the clue by going to Exile Island. So I looked for it in original camp, the Have Not camp. But I guess I didn't dig deep enough. If I have dug a little bit deeper, I would have found it, right? So, but because they put the idol in the camp where everybody is, right? You can't dig without people. I mean, it was right where we were sleeping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we switched tribes and I moved to the other camp, I know exactly it's going to be the same place, right at the entrance. And again, this is everybody's, so it was better because it was not where we were sleeping, because the other camp, we had a shelter built. Okay. So people were sleeping in the shelter. So at least in the front of the cave, I could dig, right? But then I need to have people away from the camp. And that's where, alliance with Earl come in. Earl took everybody off and say, we need to go fishing, we need to go find food, right? And that day was quite hot, and my pretense was I'm not feeling well, I'm going to stay behind, right? So.
Oh, okay, yeah, because they never said what excuse you used. Because if I was a player, I would have been like, why is he staying? What's going on?
Right. So Earl told them, he's not feeling well, he's going to stay behind, right? The downside of having such an excuse of saying you don't feel well and stay behind is that someone is going to say next time the guy's not feeling well, he's a liability. In challenges, we don't want him anymore, right? So you have to sort of, the excuse may be a reasonable excuse, but strategically not a good one to use, right? Thinking about it, say, he's sick. Why if we lose the challenge, why are we keeping this guy sick?
Well, did you notice that Boston Rob also used the excuse of not feeling well to find his idol in Redemption Island?
Right.
So I think that might actually be the line to use. I'm going to remember that for when I play.
Yeah, you're sick, but the downside, of course, is you start losing, right?
Yeah, then they might go, Colin's sick.
Yeah, you're on the line. They said the guy is sick. Okay. So Earl got them all looking for food, and I got to hang back, and so that gave me much more time to start digging. And yeah, it was deeper than I thought it would be. It was almost like a foot and a half, 2 feet deep.
Oh wow! How long did you spend digging?
At least about half an hour or so. Yeah. Not only the good thing also is that by the time we moved to the other camp, there were a lot of equipment to dig with. There were shovels. There was those steel rods that they let up the what do you call the nail pliers and so on that we had when we built that shelter. So it's much easier to dig. Whereas when in the Have Not camp, when I tried to dig, the only thing I could dig with was bamboos and a machete. So.
It was still an amazing moment, you finding the turtle and you making that sound. Do you know what that sound was? Or was that just...
I don't. I mean, in fact, when I saw it again, I was going, really? I did that? It was just awful. So I was like, oh, here, finally, suddenly, for a few minutes, I felt safe, right? So, this will let me get far. But the other thing is because Earl have helped me to get it, right? Definitely he did. That, we have to share it, and if we think he's in danger, he has to use it, and so on. So,
what inspired you to make the fake idol?
It just came to me. I mean, so I got it, and then I realized that, and you notice I didn't make it to a little bit later.
Yeah, the next episode.
The other people already came back, right? Mm-hmm. And I have to try and parry it with the other people around. Unfortunately, they were asleep. And also in that camp, because that was the half camp, we have all kinds of tools. We have paint to paint the shelters. So there was enough stuff for me. And I decided that nobody has seen the idol. How would they know what the real thing looked like, right? So I could make anything and paint it. So they would think it's the idol.
Well, did you realize when you did that you would be setting a trend in Survivor history of making fake idols?
No, not really. And I have thought of when I did that, I thought, how come nobody ever did that, right? It's like, nobody saw the real idol. Why? I think in many seasons they didn't have enough stuff to do it. In my season, because of the have not set up, I was in a camp that had all the tools and all the paint, so it's easier to come up with that idea when you have all these resources.
True. And you're not as hungry as normal survivors. Right. Is it true that people actually gained weight? I heard Earl and, I don't know if your name was tossed out, actually gained weight.
No, I lost a lot of weight. I lost 15 pounds.
Okay.
I went in 140 and came out 125. I think people who were early boots, the first or second, may gain weight. In our season, those who stay long all lost weight. Boo lost almost 30 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he lost the most. Cassandra lost a lot of weight, too. So,
what role did Cassandra have with you and Earl? Because it seemed to me that it was a threesome with you, Earl, and Cassandra, but Cassandra was always leaning more towards Earl.
Right. Cassandra was with Earl. I put up with Cassandra only because she's a vote and because I know she's loyal to Earl, right? Mm-hmm. Since we lost Michelle, I don't have much choice anymore, right? So if I had Michelle with us, if we had Michelle, I would not have put up that much with Cassandra. She didn't do anything, but she's a vote. She's a loyal vote, after all.
Was she edited fairly then?
Yeah, she didn't do very much.
Because a lot of people complain that there must have been another side of her, but you're telling me her straight on that she got the edit she deserved.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's a loyal vote, and we put up with her.
Was Rocky edited fairly?
Yeah, in the short time he's there, because he's a very what do you call that? Type A, New York type, East Coast. Just tell it like it is. Mellow, he's not. Okay?
Well, sometimes they'll only show the bad parts of a survivor, and
if they decide that you are a certain character, then when you're being nice, they won't show it when you fit the character. So if you are the obnoxious jerk for that season, you won't show the part that you're the obnoxious jerk.
Well, you were portrayed as a very super nice, wise, older man.
So I was the lovable old geek, right? So
did you have any bad moments that they cut out because of that? Oh, can we hear some?
Yeah, there was a couple of challenges with when Erica was there, the other black girl. She was voted out after this challenge where we had to put poles together, and we lost it, right? But she was telling everybody how it should be done, okay? And not only that, before every challenge, she made us pray before we do the challenge, right? And she had to lead the prayer, right? And in our season, there was Rita, who's also quite religious, but Rita is a Catholic, right? And so she said, "Why can't I lead a prayer every now and then?"
God.
I was like, she's Catholic, and it's like, wait a minute. So at one point, I just got upset. I said, "Look, do we really need to do this prayer bit? Or if it is, why can't people take turns leading prayers? I mean, they're all different religion, right? And when my turn comes out, thank, Einstein and science and all these things where I went on and it, but they didn't show it. They won't show it, right? Because it didn't change the outcome because of that. I mean, if I did that and because of that I got voted out, they would show it.
Yeah.
Because it told the story, what happened, right? But not only that, it would destroy the image that I'm the, mellow, nice guy and so on.
So did you know you would be good at the challenges?
I did know that if it's not a physical challenge that involves strength and swimming, right, I would be good at. And not only that, I know also that in order for them to be fair, even if it's physical, there must be a way you can do well by not being a really, a weightlifter or a sprinter, or whatever, right? So that's why in some of the challenges like javelin throwing, bow and arrow and so on, you can win it even if you're not athletic, right? Because they know that not everybody's athletic. So for example, the bow and arrow challenge where I won it, right? They don't use, that's not a real bow and arrow set. It's a Fisher-Price toy, okay? Because if they use a real bow and arrow set, someone who's taken like archery in college would have had advantage. So they use this little toy thing where the bow was not even strong enough to launch the arrow into the target, right?
Oh, so that wasn't everybody being bad at bow and arrow; it was the equipment itself.
Yeah. Right, the arrows were not even straight, so when I went up there, I go, okay, I'm looking for the straightest arrow, and I knelt down and lobbed the arrow over, right? Aim when you're lobbing it, but who cares? As soon as it gets to the target, I win, right? Because nobody got the arrows to even stick.
Are you surprised you haven't seen more Survivor contestants apply the same logic you have to these challenges?
I am always very surprised. So, for example, the javelin challenge, right, where I was fortunate that I was the last one, second to last, to do the javelin challenge. Again, that's not a real javelin, because they cannot have a real javelin, because someone who was in college who was a javelin thrower, right, track and field, would have an advantage. That's a fishing spear that is, with 3-prong, and so I had to find the balance point, and everybody stood still to throw it. Well, it's easy to aim when you stand still to throw it. So by the time I came on, I was the second to last, nobody's javelin even stuck. They were tumbling and so on, right? Because standing still to throw is tough. So I backed up about 50 feet and did a running start, okay? You cannot aim when you do a running start. But who cares about aiming? All I need to do is get it on.
Yeah, hit the target.
But I don't know if you know that in many of these challenges, we get to do it twice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And what you see on the screen is our best effort.
That makes the javelin thing even funnier.
and the second round, I made a mistake both times, right? Doing the running start. The second round, nobody copied me.
Now that's weird.
I know, it's like, you saw how I made it work, right?
Yeah.
The javelin stuck. And I don't care where it sticks. All I need to stick it, I win. Because you guys, none of yours stick. But they didn't copy me. I mean, it's like, when I did the bow and arrow by knelting down and just lobbing the arrow over, they didn't copy me.
That's just really strange. I think that almost shows the ego the other people had, or how little they've been eating or thinking in order to come up with that.
Sure, I don't want to copy the old guy, right? It's like...
I would copy the old guy from Immunity.
Yeah, it's like...
When you made the merge, did you have a feeling that the rest of the game would go good, or were you still just up in the air about everything?
No, when they made the merge, I felt much better. Because once they made the merge, we're going for individual immunity. So I know that I'm now playing for myself. I don't have to be worried about me being the cause of my tribe losing it or whatever, right? I won't be blamed, So going for individual immunity, I felt a lot more confident.
When Mookie and Alex found the idol by going through your bag, and then they tried to throw you under the bus, how were you feeling? And were you surprised that nobody cared you had the idol?
Yeah, I was. In fact, I didn't know they went through my bag to know that, right? So when I saw it on TV, that's when I found out how they found it, how they knew. Because at that time, I did not know how they knew it, right? So I thought maybe one of my allies told them or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had no idea how they knew, right? I knew by the time we went to tribal council that they know, right? But I didn't know how they found out.
Were you afraid that it was going to ruin your game when they called you out?
Yeah, and not only that, I was afraid that one of my allies have given them the information, right? So the logical person would be Earl. It's like, did Earl help me out, right?
Yeah.
That was the first thought, right? How the hell did they know, right? But then knowing Earl and knowing that, he really didn't like those other two, I said, no, it could not have been him, who gave them the information. So.
Well, and were you also surprised that, and I don't know if you saw the moment, but we saw it, when everyone was just going, wait, why did they go through his bag? It was like they just ignored the fact that you had an idol, and they never tried to flush it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it's so fun. Yeah, that was a very strange strategy, a way of not going to flush it. Yeah.
When Dreams didn't give you that immunity necklace, did you know it was going to be you?
Yeah, I mean, it was done. Right. I overplayed my hand on that one. I really did. Yeah. I mean, there's always, hindsight is 20/20, right? I should have waited until, another round, right? I was just buying insurance to go further. So I way overplayed it.
Did you think by making that deal you put a bigger target on your back also?
Now I do, but at that time I thought I'm insured. See, by that time there were 6 of us, right? Of the 6, Dreams, Earl, Cassandra, and Stacy have never won any immunity. Okay? The only other person is Boo, and we have enough votes to get rid of Boo. Okay? Until then, whenever this individual immunity, either Boo came first or I came second, or I came first and Boo came second, right? So, and I know we have enough votes to get rid of Boo. The only other person that I'm worried about was Dreams, in that I know in the last challenge it's usually some kind of endurance thing, right? Most of it, sometimes it's not, but many seasons, the last challenge was an endurance thing, and the guy I was worried about was Dreams,
which rightly so.
Right, and he's bigger than I am. He's more athletic. It's like if we have to do some kind of endurance thing that requires strength, he can beat me. Right. By then I know Earl is not that athletic. He looks like a big guy, but he's not. Right. He's a big guy, but he's not athletic. And so I had to. My move was to buy insurance with Dreams. Right. So that was my mistake. I overplayed it. I should have kept going until the final 4, final 3. If it had been the last final 4 hanging in there, and I made the deal and say, if you drop now, I will give you the truck, I could have won, right? He would have won.
Because, and like we talked about, because he was very focused on what he can get now, which, was a product of his racing.
That was the second time they had the final 3, Fiji, right?
So, did you know it was going to be a final 3?
Because we were on the island when I never saw the end of, so Cook Island did not finish until third week of December. We came home first week of December. So Cook Island was in play in the season. I had no idea it's going to be a final 3. So when the 4 of us are hanging there, I thought we have another round to go.
Oh, okay.
We were very surprised when Jeff said, this is it. I go, oh, wow. And I thought, maybe I made my decision right in that we're getting to the final earlier, so maybe it was a good deal that I made so early with Dreams. But in hindsight, no, I should have made it right then when we were hanging.
Why didn't Cassandra get any votes?
None of the jury members have any respect for her gameplay. Yeah, she played under the radar and so on, way under the radar.
What about Dreams? Was there anything that Dreams could have done to save himself in the eyes of the jury?
He could have pleaded a little bit more and said, look, and made a better case that I never meant it. He tries to, but during the confessional, right, he said something like, I swear to God, I swear on my child, and so on, right? He shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, he should have just said ha ha ha.
Right. He should have said ha. Yeah, he should have said ha ha ha. I outplayed Yau Man. I took him. It's like poker, right? It's out and out a bluff. We don't think you're a bad guy because you cheat, you bluff in poker, right? Because that's the whole point of the game. So he should have played that way and say, look, it's a bluff. I outplay him. I outwit him. Ha ha ha, right? And at the jury, he should have just said, look, so Yau Man thinks he's a smart guy. I outplayed him, right? He would have gotten some vote. He would have gotten some respect.
Yeah. Well, I think if he would have done that and then played up the fact that he was homeless, he actually could have had a really good shot.
He could have had a good shot, yes. He should have played that angle up, but he never got a chance to.
Let's be realistic here. A final three, you, Earl, Cassandra, who wins?
It would be me.
How many votes do you think you would have gotten?
I think I'll have all but couple, because I don't think I'll get any votes from Mookie or Agado, but I think for the other people I would.
Well, I mean, I remember when Boo even said in his final jury speech, Yau Man's the real winner of this season. So, when you first got approached about going on Fans versus Favorites, was there any hesitation?
No, not really. But I was afraid it was too soon, right? But then I said, yeah, might as well go for it.
Were you worried about getting voted out really early, and did you think you had a really good shot?
I was. I just thought, yeah, there's no way. I cannot get away with the, feeble old man. I'm just I'm going to work for you. I'm going to keep you. I knew quite well that probably won't work anymore, because they all know that I could do well in challenges as soon as the merge gets.
Did you knowingly push Johnny Fairplay into that boat, or was it an accident?
We were both jumping for it. Yeah.
What did you make of him quitting?
That was strange, but he was really genuinely troubled, and I think let's see who Jonathan Tanner and I probably did help in that he talked to us and he was telling us that his girlfriend Michelle was like 8 months pregnant, and he's worried. He would really like to be there at the birth and so on. And Jonathan and I, being both, fathers, we thought, yeah, if my wife was even, 3 months pregnant, we would not have come out. Yeah, it was like, so I think that helped a little bit. But he was really genuinely concerned. So, the man has a heart. He's not a bad guy.
Oh, why did Suri turn on you?
I think she misunderstood. I think she expected me to. So I was playing sort of very cool and calm. I was having an alliance with her, but I don't want people to know that I have an alliance with her, right? So I pretended I'm more with Jonathan and so on, but she didn't realize that. For example, when I was in Fiji with Earl, people didn't know I was allied with Earl, right? Because we didn't, when there are people around or at tribal council, we didn't talk like we were allies, right? So I was playing it the same way, and I think Suri just thought that I was double-crossing her. I mean, I have no intention of double-crossing her.
Well, I remember it's something about she got mad that you sent...
Jonathan to...
Yeah, yes.
In that I was hoping that he would not want to go and that I would end up going, right? And that I was volunteering him because I don't want to be so enthusiastic about going, because she already gave me some idea of where the clues are for XR Island. I mean, if I jump up and down that I want to go, they suspect that, hey, wait a minute, why is he so anxious to go?
Did you try explaining this to her?
No, because I don't think she really, she really got that angle of play. And I was disappointed that Eliza didn't hang on with me.
Do you think overall, both your seasons, your edit was accurate?
Yeah, I would say it is pretty accurate.
Was there any on-screen moments of your greatness that we missed?
No, there was a couple of great conversations but it has nothing to do with the outcome of the show, so they never showed it. I mean, we had great conversation. The person who's really funny is Anthony Robinson. He was, being yelled at by Boston, by James, and made him cry and all that. But he's a funny guy, and he would imitate Jeff Probst at Tribal Council in an East Indian accent, right? We were cracking up. He was good. But they didn't show any of that because it wasn't relevant to the outcome of the show, I guess.
There's a rumor circulating online, and that the reason why Fiji happened the way it did was because right off the bat, the people that were building on the shelter made an alliance, and the people who were out gathering supplies made an alliance, and that's what set up the whole season, but it never aired. Is that true?
I didn't think that was it. At least I did not. No, I didn't think that was how this came out.
Yeah, that's not how. Okay, so yeah, that's just one of those things you hear about online, and I figured I might as well.
Yeah, because really there was not just one group of people that went out and one group of people. Because initially, we all ended up on the island, right? And we were given this box with a map with all the tools to build things, right? So everybody did something either away from the camp or at the camp. So there was not like a click.
Yeah,
one
group.
Well, it was a good mixture.
Well, to me, that's not like bad playing.
There was one person who stayed at the camp most of the time was me. I was just cutting up coconut, getting the water for them. That was our water because we don't have water yet, right? And I only went out of the camp just like once to help people carry wood in, but the wood was stashed quite far away, so everybody, were all over. So there was no one particular group of people that went out more than the other. At least I don't remember there was a...
Were you offered a spot on Heroes versus Villains?
I was asked if I was interested, and I said, yeah, but I need to check with my work situation because I pretty much used up all my vacation, right? And since I'm, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, I'm the only income, I would have to take leave with no pay for that 8 weeks. Right? And in my position, and we were going through some major upgrades of the network and systems, software systems at the college was a big deal. That I would have to really plan for that time off and figure out, whether taking a leave without pay for that long, 2 months, 2 pay periods, right, would affect my ultimate retirement calculation. And so, there was that consideration. So I didn't jump on it right away. And then by the time I got everything cleared and said, yeah, I could actually afford to do this, they already had enough people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. I'm assuming you're going to be asked back again, and would you play again?
If they ask, I don't think I will be. They have not, approached anybody further than the last. So Eric was the furthest back they went, right? It's this season.
Well,
I don't, maybe the last season before it goes off the air, they would have a grand finale.
Oh yeah, Survivor Superstars, and you're going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and you're going to vote me out second. But that's another podcast also. Why do you think that more people haven't been brought back that are connected with you, especially from Fiji? We haven't had Earl back. Boo could have been brought back. Dreams could be brought back.
Nobody from Fiji have ever been brought back except me.
Yeah, why?
Right. I think Jeff Probst, for one, hated that season. And yeah, he was not happy with that season. And I guess there was so many things went wrong, right? If someone quitting, they have to rearrange. There was, I don't know if you know, there were 5 of each of our races there, right? There was 5 Asians, there were 5 white guys, 5 Hispanics, 5 black, right? And they were going to do the, my assumption is they were going to do the Cook Island thing again, right?
And maybe they could have done it right by keeping it going.
And with that woman quitting, so they have to scramble to redesign a lot of things. So it turned out to be really, as far as Jeff and the production's concerned, not one of the better seasons. So.
And do you think we'll ever see Earl back in an all-winner season?
I don't know if we will. I'm hoping we'll see somebody like Boo. He's interesting.
Yeah, I loved Boo.
And little Michelle, she's funny. She's just so athletic. And certainly they should bring Dreams back, right? The ultimate villain.
Well, yeah, he should have been on Heroes versus Villains.
Yeah.
He really should have. And maybe he could have found some redemption.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and it's very random. This is my curveball question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Can you do any celebrity impressions?
No, I cannot.
Can you, imitate any survivors? Can you do a Jeff Probst? Can you do a Mark Burnett?
No. I'm really bad at impressions. I'm very impressed with other people who can do impressions.
Well, this thing I've noticed is that all the really smart people I talk to can't do impressions, and I wonder if there's something to that.
I don't know. I think those of us, not so much smart, but more in terms of being analytical.
Yeah.
That we tend to sort of be more inside ourselves, right? We think about things, analyze ourselves. So we don't pay attention to somebody's speaking, somebody's mannerism, and so on, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas somebody who's more social, they have more concentration and on somebody's mannerism, the voice, and so on. So those people would learn to do impressions, and they're good actors and actresses, right?
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.